Hello, dear listener. Welcome to the Future Seeds podcast. I'm your host, Cyprian, and in this show, I explore groundbreaking solutions to our world's unique problems by connecting seemingly unrelated fields such as technology, ecology, community, and spirituality.
This podcast is part of a special series on meaning, purpose, and mission, in which I gather testimonials from all different areas of expertise, business people, artists, spiritual teachers, mental health and psychology experts, biologists, and more, to shed light on the quest of purpose and show all the different ways that we can approach this question. In this episode, I present a conversation I had with Caroline Myss on the topic of purpose. Caroline is an American mystic and 5 times best-selling author in the esoteric literature. Her book, Anatomy of the Spirit, a New York Times bestseller, has been published in 28 languages and has sold over 1.5 million copies. Her third book, Why People Don't Heal and How They Can, became another New York Times bestseller. Her book, Sacred Contract, a book on symbols, myth, and archetypes, became her third New York Times bestseller. It is published in 18 languages and has sold over 1.6 million copies. Oprah Winfrey gave Caroline her own television program with the Oxygen Network in New York City, which ran successfully for 1 year. Finally, in 2004 and again in 2007, Caroline followed with 2 more New York Times bestsellers, Invisible Acts of Power and Entering the Castle. Hello, dear listeners. As explained, this is the first episode of a new series on purpose and meaning. I've been digging deep into the topic for many months now, reading and watching everything I can find. And as far as I can tell, there's many different aspects to this question, many angles from which one can come from. As far as I can tell, these are the different angles I'm gonna come from and different speakers I'm gonna try to find. There's the mystical aspect, in which one feels an irresistible calling to accomplish a certain mission, a vocation. There's the economical aspect, in which people need to make a living and answer society's needs in general. There's the community and mental health aspect. We all need to find our place in the world. We all need to be significant in the larger community. There's the psychological aspect, in which personal growth often goes hand in hand with a sense of meaning and purpose. And finally, there's a biological/neurological aspect. Research tends to show how a sense of meaning can change our chemistry and even our life expectancy. And in this series, I want to explore all of those aspects. But very early in this exploration, I became obsessed with the question, how is it that some people feel a compulsion to do something grand, to have impact, as the modern vocabulary puts it, while some others are happy laying low? And I get to ask Caroline one question, and her answer is at least thought-provoking, if not brilliant. It got me captivated and brought together many pieces of the puzzle that until then I kind of found were incompatible. I invite you to listen to this short interaction I had with Caroline and her very interesting, peculiar way of perceiving personal growth. So my question, I guess, is do you think everyone has a calling that can be translated into their work, into a job?
No, of course not. That's ridiculous. There's no such thing as everyone has this. Absolutely not. So stop with the everyone myth. We got that. Now, and stop trying to make the world right for everyone, because it's never going to happen. Get rid of the everyone stuff. No. That's utter nonsense. Okay, so, does everyone have a calling? Absolutely not. Power is the fundamental ingredient of the human experience. There, that's a big thing to understand. Power. Everything is a negotiation of power. How you dress, where you sit, what you eat. You don't do one thing at all in which you are not doing a power equation. Will this dress make me powerful or disempower me? Will this car, will I feel powerful in this car or not? I don't care if you don't think in that language, you're thinking in that language. In a job, what you're doing is you're saying, I want this system to have more power over me in my choices and in the consequences, so I'm not held responsible. Or you're not yet old enough or skilled enough to be held responsible for the consequences of your choice. So you are eau de toilette, cologne, and perfume. So you're in the eau de toilette. Now for a lot of people, eau de toilette life is they're content. They do not want to be held accountable for their power. And so they're going to stay there. If you say, do they have, they don't want a calling. That's the last thing they want. But there are people who, within that, begin to think, I want to be able to have an impact. These are the people that start to get, I got to get out of this place. And they're the ones that begin to feel the itch to say, what have I got to give? Their inner self wakes up. And they start to individuate. They want to become cologne. They want to have their own fragrance. They don't want to be toilet water. But they have to develop something to give. They go and they find a career. They think, what is unique about me? They want a unique out. They have to find their power. What kind of power do I have that's not like this? So they start their journey to discover themselves, that to break away from their tribe, whatever it is. So they become cologne. They get a career. And now, and in terms of power, now they have a little more power so they can influence their world, however big that world might be. And then among them, for some will come the moment where they'll say, is this all there is? Is this all there is? There'll come for some that moment where they exhaust that path. And they'll say, and they'll utter this. What reason was I born? They'll pull the mystical lever. And they'll ask the question that's not the question, but a prayer. Only they don't know it. They think it's a question. And if I were there, I'd say, who do you think is going to answer that? Exactly. Who do you think knows the reason you were born? A doctor knows how. Your parents know why. But who do you think knows the reason? That's divine. Do you get, you said, a prayer? Do you understand you've just called upon heaven and said, will you call me by name now? Will you call me? Am I ready? And the moment you utter that prayer, you've changed the rules of your life, but you don't know that. So what you've done is you've said, I want my soul's map over my ego. The ego says, what can I take? Have mine. The ego says, I was born for something special. What? Who says? And the soul says,
Even if you have like the best of intentions of doing something grandiose for the world, you're saying that's still ego.
oh yeah? But the soul says, how do you know what grandiose is? And exactly how do you know what that is? Or where it will unfold? The soul's life unfolds in some mysterious way. You'll say to me 5 years from now, I had no idea. The ego says, but this is what I want. And the soul says, screw what you want. This is your assignment. And first you take away what you think you want, because you're going to get in the, you're going to screw it up, because you're going to think it's my way, my way, my way. And it's going to come out of your wounds and your fear of being humiliated and all that BS that I got to get out, because it's going to be, you'll be so stubborn and you'll be stuck on things and you'll be insisting that you know how things should turn out. God knows how things should turn out. So in order for heaven to just get out of the way, you have to lose everything. We've got to humble you up. Rub your face in it. And when you're finally broken and smashed like grapes, heaven will make you fine wine. That's a calling. Do I think everyone has one? Hell no. Hell no. It usually breaks people. And you only get through it when you finally can say, what do you want? Wait. And wait through the dark night. Wait. Without screaming and yelling and crying, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Shut up and wait. Get a backbone. You need a backbone like titanium to say, I'm waiting, I'm waiting, I'm waiting. You may wait a year, 2 years. You may wait till the time is right. You may wait so much that you think there is no God. And then one day, when you're not looking, the door knocks. By the way, who are you? Would you come with me? And boom, a path is waiting. And the next thing you know, you don't even realize you're on your path. You won't even realize it. You won't even recognize it. And then somehow 6 months later you think, what the heck? The light goes on. This is it. I would never have, that's right, you would never have chosen it. That's exactly right.
Thanks. I hope you enjoyed this short conversation. I definitely found it fascinating. First of all, Caroline has a way of speaking that is very incisive, very assertive. She speaks with a sense of confidence that is rare, and sometimes that way of speaking appears to me a bit pretentious, but it didn't feel that way at all when I was sitting in front of her. It didn't feel presumptuous or aggressive. It just felt like she was fully playing the role that she was standing in, the teacher, the channel, the messenger. And in the blink of an eye, after asking my question, she laid out a process of personal growth in 3 steps, which she humoristically referred to as eau de toilette, cologne, and perfume. And I'm going to develop here what I've understood from what Caroline has said. I want to call those 3 stages the casual person, the conqueror, and the servant. So the casual person wants to avoid responsibilities. They don't want to undertake any task or accept any belief system that requires them to have to deal with any situation that would have them to take decisions that would impact people and then answer the consequences of those decisions. And they certainly don't answer to any sense of duty other than a duty to fulfill their own desires and maybe satisfy their very close ones. But then can come a time where a casual person develops the desire to individuate and experiment their power in the world. Let's call this stage 1 transformation. It's a very interesting phase that I think can be compared to the self-actualization phase described by the famous psychologist Abraham Maslow, who theorized the human hierarchy of needs. So when a person's basic needs have been fulfilled, physiological, safety, love and belonging, and finally self-esteem, then comes self-actualization. And Maslow defined self-actualization as a desire to become more and more what one is, to become everything that one is capable of becoming. And that's how a casual person becomes a conqueror. And the conqueror sees the world as a laboratory for his experiments, as an open playground for testing his potential, as an open space for personal growth. The conqueror wants to see how far he can go, how many dreams he can reach, how many people he can reach, how many goals he can reach, how much knowledge and power he can acquire. But as Caroline pointed out, even this path can be exhausted. There's another type of growth that can take place, one that she refers to as the purpose of the soul. One can ask, is that all there is? Meaning that one's personal goals start feeling a bit empty. And I think a goal-setting mindset can lose its grip when one starts to inquire so deep into their own why that the real question becomes, who am I? As Caroline pointed out, it becomes, why was I born? And ultimately transforms into, what do you want from me? Where you points to a greater power, a power greater than ourselves, whatever that power may be. And this is the second phase. This is how a conqueror becomes a servant. It's the realization that no matter how big we are, there's a deeper power, one that created us and the whole universe. That realization marks the beginning of the end of the ego's mission and the beginning of the soul's mission. This pivotal moment, let's call it stage 2 transformation, has been described in a quote that is often misattributed to Mark Twain, but for which no one actually knows the real author. The quote says, "The two most important days of a man's life are the day on which he was born and the day on which he discovers why he was born." I think it's very interesting to pinpoint that to study a topic such as meaning or purpose, eventually you get to studying the forces that drive us as human beings. And so Caroline Myss' take on that is that growth and power are the driving forces behind it all. Personal growth through exploration of power. And the conclusion she points to in this short conversation is that growth is a journey towards real power, and that contrary to popular belief, real power is only met when surrendering, not when trying to control, and it's indeed the teaching of most, if not all, spiritual teachers. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. This was the first episode in a new series on purpose, mission, and meaning. This was a spiritual perspective, and in the next episode we'll be exploring perspectives from scientists, entrepreneurs, and artists. And don't forget to subscribe to our mailing list to be informed of the next episodes.
The Future Seeds podcast is a project that is supported by its community of listeners. If you like the show and what it stands for, I invite you to head to www.futureseeds.news, where you can support the show for just $2 a month, be part of the Future Seeds community, connect with its amazing members and speakers, and enable this podcast to thrive. I thank you for your time and hope you enjoy the show and its exploration of alternative solutions to the world's greatest challenges.